He's been in the news lately, the
Actually,
most famous Looksmaxxer,
I know. Oh my
and
God.
unfortunately, he overdosed the other night.
Yes.
Very,
On
very
so I don't even know
sad.
that was. Actually, I don't know what they. Well, first of all, I watched the video and I was like, I don't. Did he fall on his face?
I
I
don't
don't know.
know. It's
I don't
what
know.
are your thoughts on this?
Well, I don't know if people have seen the 60 Minutes Australia. I always love
Oh,
that 60
yeah.
Minutes Australia. If just as an FYI, 60 Minutes Australia does a lot of great reporting on
Yeah.
topics and people 60 Minutes US doesn't do. So anyway, I saw that interview and so I have many thoughts. First of all, the interviewer who I've never seen before, he was not taking it seriously.
Yeah, I
I
thought
felt
that
like
way
he
too.
was very snarky, smirky. And I was like, because I think he just couldn't grasp what was happening. Like, why is this happening? I think we're all like that. Like, but it is a thing. And there's so much to be disturbed about. He's 20 years old.
I
He's
know.
taking
I know.
drugs like crystal,
Yeah,
like the peptides, crystal meth, and let's not go into the. Let's take a hammer and
I know. I
what does
know.
he call it?
I forget what it's
I,
called.
I just was like, what the? Oh,
But
mini fractures, and I'm
yeah,
like,
but I've
okay,
heard,
people. Oh my
doctors say
God,
that doesn't really do what he
of course
says.
it doesn't,
Yeah.
and he just is so. I find that he's very typical of this generation of because the interviewer said, well, the medical community goes, well, we're talking about decades ago. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Decades ago. He makes it sound like people with medical degrees are from like 100 years ago.
I
And I'm like,
know.
um, yeah, okay. But
I so there's so many things I had to say. A, it's sad. And then I heard another expert saying, which I can see, that even girls are getting boob jobs and plastic
yeah,
surgery. They
which
said
has
way
been going
earlier,
on for a long time.
and a lot of it they
Yeah.
say, and I don't doubt it, is fueled by the uptick of pornography online.
Yeah.
Um,
And
I just
influencers. There's
influencers.
influencers. Yeah.
I feel, I think many things when I see him. One of it is, he's clearly not neurotypical, and he reminds me of a lot
No.
of. My daughter went to a school with kids with learning issues, and I saw a lot
Yeah.
of kids like him in the school. So in a way, sometimes you almost feel like people maybe are laughing at him and not
Yeah.
with him sometimes. Um, but
And he,
it's very sad. It's just, I mean, he spends like an insane amount of money on
I
peptides,
know.
all these things to keep himself really good looking. I thought that was interesting at one point in that 60 Minutes interview where he like flipped the script and he said something to the interviewer or something like, well, let's not talk about your wife cheating. And then the guy said, I don't even have a wife. Do you remember that
Yeah.
part?
Oh, no, I know because he was trying to pull a Pierce Morgan on him.
Yeah,
I guess
right,
because he was starting to ask him like tougher questions. But
right.
even before he got to that part, I was like, I have no idea what I'm trying. Okay, I think I wrote down a couple of things because I was like, what are you? I have to go back and check my notes because I was like, are these real words? Like, are you just
Yeah.
making up words as you go? Like his whole thing. I just I feel like and he kept going on about and it always goes back to the it's the woman's fault.
It's the woman's
Like
fault.
women only want good looking men, yada yada yada. I mean, do you see women with like bald guys or whatever? And I was like, okay, maybe not in the clubs, wherever you're going. They're always in
Right.
Miami or Ibiza or whatever. And you know, okay, probably not because you're in a club, but all you have to do is like walk around in normal places and women are not that's
But
if they get a good looking guy they're like
yeah, yeah.
oh this is great but that's not their first priority in life. I think they're, and the thing is, I always feel like him and all the red pillars, they
Right.
lump all the women that they
I know.
meet into one bucket.
I
And you're
know.
like,
That
what is
is a
that,
big issue.
5%? Is that a 5% of the population?
Yeah.
But it never, like, it just, because they're only looking for, high value men and, men with money and good looking. And I'm like, again, think about where you are finding these women. And two, it's like 5% of the population. It's like, as somebody who's worked in financial services for most of my career, and I'm like, trust me, I would say 90% of the guys are not clavicular. They, you know,
But
they get women, and maybe it's the money, but actually, a lot of these guys and women met in undergrad, or they met in B school, or they met at a conference, or whatever. It was like work related. That's how they met. And I'm sure that a lot of these women were like, oh, okay, he's got money, we're going to live well. But none of them, I don't think that that was their, and then of course some of them are quite handsome, but let's move. But I just am like, it's like crazy to me. I'm like, what?
Yeah, but like, I don't know if you remember, like in high school and college, I saw girls do crazy things to men, to pretend their looks.
That hasn't changed, right?
No, and I remember my freshman year in college, there was this girl that lived across the hall from me, and all she ate every night for dinner was Jell-O.
Oh my God. Remember the freshman 15?
Yeah.
Oh my
And she
God.
would come in my room every night and weigh herself.
Oh gosh.
And she was like, oh, 105. I also remember, girls growing up, laying out with the baby oil and getting sunburned. I mean, women do crazy things.
I know,
too.
and they've been doing it. I had to remind myself, because again, I probably am a little bit hypocritical, but at some point you realize, oh my God, what am I doing to myself? When I moved to New York in the 90s, remember Fen Fen? Do you remember Fen Fen?
Yeah.
Oh, that was the thing back, which is basically, that went off the market.
I don't know.
That was
People were
another one of
dying.
those. You go to a doctor and you're like, is this a real doctor? And I obviously lost weight, and then I had to go for my annual checkup, and my doctor was like, oh, she pitched a fit. And then she literally sent me to a cardiologist because she was worried that my heart, and I was in my late 20s, people, and she was freaked out. And this was this is the 90s. And so it's not like people haven't been doing,
crazy things
to lose weight. And I mean, I do remember, going to aerobics class on a Saturday afternoon after drinking all night long, which is something you can do in your 20s.
Right. And you work. I can remember too, years ago in New York, having dinner with someone who was very, very thin. And we were at a Chinese restaurant, and she didn't
eat anything.
She just wanted it steamed. Like,
a
steamed chicken and broccoli. And they bought it out, and it had like a little bit of oil on it. And she was like freaking out. And then she proceeded to eat it. And then she obsessed about the fact that it had a little bit of oil on it. And so she ended up like walking home, which was like 60 blocks to burn off that little bit of.
I hate to say it, people. I remember those days. I remember like the Chinese meals, like no sauce, no brown sauce, no white sauce, steamed vegetables, and that chicken that looks really rubbery, no rice. And you're like, it just.
But Linda, now I'm,
now I'm like, if
I sit down and there's a bread basket there, it damage is going to be done. I'm like.
I know we're past that point.
It's so bad, but yeah. And I can also remember another job. It was I had. It was at a big agency, and the boss took us out, and the super skinny girl, like size 2, and what she ordered for lunch was just tomatoes, and sitting there cutting them in these little bite-sized pizzas. It's like
Well,
it's like people don't talk about it. You don't know
I
what
know.
people are doing
I
to
know.
retain their looks. I mean, it took me a long time to figure out because I'm not, not from New York. It's not common in the
Yeah.
Midwest where I grew up for girls to get
Oh, no.
boob jobs and nose jobs.
No. It's so
And
true.
it took me a long time to realize, like, oh, those are fake boobs, or that's a
Yeah.
nose job there
Or
because
the
the
nose job.
nose
Yeah.
was so
There's a
perfect.
lot of nose jobs. I do
A lot
remember
of
a lot
nose
of nose
jobs.
jobs. Now
And I
it's
didn't see that
Botox.
until I came to New York,
Yeah.
and
I didn't either. I mean, I just remember one of my colleagues, this is when I first came to New York, and we didn't have any money. So we would, like, bring our little lunches. Well, I brought my lunch in. She would go to McDonald's and just take the meat out. I'm like, what's the purpose here? And of course, the guys, again, we were all
yeah.
making no money. I'll take that piece of, and she goes, I don't like the meat. I'm like, I just want the cheese.
Oh,
And
Linda,
that's
what
all
about?
she ate. That's all she ate. I
I
was like,
know.
is this what we're down to, Julia? Okay.
What
All right.
about the scoop bagel? You see that all the
Oh,
time.
the scoop bagel. Oh, I'll have to
You
admit,
get
I
a bagel, but you have
remember,
them scoop it out. Yeah.
yeah, the scoop the bagel out. I remember when again, because my weight has always fluctuated, but when I discovered the Cuban sandwich, all the guys are like, we're going to get for Cuban sandwiches. I was like, oh my God,
What's
that
it?
is, oh,
What's on it?
it's pork, cheese. It is literally the most fattening thing on the planet, pickles or whatever. And I was like, oh my God, this is the most delicious thing I've ever had. I had to stop eating them because they're the most caloric thing. And
I
don't you
know.
remember the egg and cheese sandwiches? That used to
Oh
be my
yeah.
breakfast and lunch. Okay, I'm gonna have a half for breakfast and I'm gonna have the other half for lunch that because they're like literally grilling it up for you. Like how much oil is that? Like, of course, when you're in your 20s, you can eat a lot more.
You can
But
eat a lot,
yeah,
but
but
yeah.
it's I got older. I was like, okay, I gotta put that down. And you're right. I used to scoop out the bagel. I was like, no, again,
God, all the
yeah.
crazy stuff you did to, like,
So, but I
keep.
feel like it's the same, but it's not the same.
This
Like
is extreme, yeah.
this is I think clavicular and none of us are faces with the every time I see them
I
with
know.
those hammers, I'm like micro fractures. I just imagine every plastic surgeon losing their mind. And also, I yet to hear, or they haven't like glommed onto his parents who are how did he refer to them?
What are his parents? I don't know.
I don't know. No, when he said, well, the interviewer asked about his parents. Well, they're generations older than I am. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
They're
they,
probably like 20
they
years
would,
old or 24 years old.
generations,
I know.
I think one. And it's like, and does he have siblings? They all seem very, and again, I completely get, because nothing has changed except for social media and
Mhm.
porn, as I like to say in dating apps, because boys have and girls have always been insecure. I mean, people act like, oh, people weren't trying to fix themselves up in high school, and how much time did we spend on our makeup and our hair? Oh my God, like every weekend was like a disaster in high school. And so I'm pretty sure most people were insecure. That's not anything, nothing has changed except that it's much more public now than it
Yeah,
used to
and
be.
people, like, plastic surgery has kinda gone mainstream. Like,
Yeah.
when we grew up, the only person we knew who had
Oh,
plastic surgery was Phyllis Diller. Remember
yeah.
that? Crazy. But,
I don't
you
know
know
anybody in high school that ever got plastic surgery. I was
no,
like,
me
even
either.
a nose job. I'm
No,
like,
me either.
and I went to a pretty affluent high school, but I couldn't even, like, no one. There was no one. I don't even remember people actually. No, maybe people did color their hair. I think people were more
People
concerned
colored their
about,
hair. Everyone colored their
yeah,
hair, but I didn't know. I'm
no,
from the Midwest. People just don't
yeah.
do that stuff, but
I think people
he
were it was all about where you lived and how big your house was. And, I had a Toyota. No, I had a Nissan Sentra when I was 16, and it wasn't even my car. It was my mom's car. I'm like, oh yeah, I got a car. I would roll up with my Nissan Sentra, and somebody else would roll up in their Mercedes. I was like, oh, okay, fine.
I
Um,
wanna know his backstory, though. Like, was he badly bullied as a kid, or,
I don't know anything about his background. I've just seen pictures of him before he started his journey. And that interview, I mean, it just kind of went on, and because he didn't make any sense half the time. I was like, is that a sentence? That's not even a coherent statement that you're going with. And then the overdose, he was in
He was live
Miami.
streaming. They
He was live
stream all the
streaming,
time.
and
Yeah.
then he was with these two other guys, and I was like, oh, good Lord, I know you're taking steroids, buddy, because that is not a normal
I
body.
know.
And and the thing is about the whole steroids thing, that's just, steroids have been around a really long time, and I think he didn't even like realize like the side effects. You're just like, do you even know what the
No,
side effects? I
no.
don't think they know anything. And then
No, they don't. The
they don't.
steroids have bad side effects. You have to be
Yeah.
really, really careful. But I
Yeah.
will tell you this, my daughter has rare disease.
Yeah.
So she has she doesn't make any hormones, so she has to replace it. And I remember years ago, because I lived in Chelsea, and I was with like a caseworker, a gay guy, and he said, "Oh yeah, all the guys in
Oh, they're doing steroids. Oh yeah.
all doing steroids."
That's a whole nother
Yeah,
topic.
that's a whole other topic.
I don't want to get into that, because then I don't want
I
to
know.
stereotype, because the 90s and the aughts there was a lot of drugs.
I don't know, Linda. Sometimes I'm like, we had this conversation. I guess if I had some money, I'd be in some plastic surgery office right now saying,
yeah, I probably, yeah.
I mean,
I'm
a
sure
little
I
nip
would
and
be too.
tuck.
A little bit, yeah. Well, I know, people, I'm going to tell you this as I talk about my hypocrisy here. I'm going to be having little fillers done this
I
week.
don't notice it. You always say it.
I know. I'm
don't
the only
notice
one.
it.
My friends just go on about the fillers. Like, oh, really? I'm like,
Okay.
and as my dermatologist said, if it bothers you and it makes you feel better, then you should do it. She
Yeah.
even says the same thing. The first time I had it done, she goes, okay, wait, what am I doing here? She goes,
But it's
I
not
go,
like
this.
you're not taking a hammer to your face.
No,
so
I'm not taking a
we
hammer to
can
my
forgive
face, and
you,
I'm
Linda.
not doing Botox. I just, for some reason, Botox scares me.
Yeah.
And that's all I would like. I don't know, my lips. Anyway, I'm not going to do lip filler. That I've seen that go astray with people. And what was it? Yeah. So I hope the thing about guys like that is he really does need a therapist. He obviously has issues. And also the other thing too, is he's 20 years old, and obviously we are much older than he is. And I just always think about these guys. Like, did you just go, I just lost you?
No, I'm still here.
So this is my last comment on this topic, is
Okay.
that I hope he has a good financial advisor, because, buddy, you're not going to be doing this when you're 30 or even 25.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And he said he was making money, and I'm like, okay, good for
He makes
you.
a boatload of money, but
But
he streams all day, Linda.
I know that's got to be the most exhausting thing.
It does. I mean,
I
it just,
mean, you guys hear us, and we do this like, once a week, but we're like, if I had to stream all day long, I think I'd have a small breakdown.
when I come back to New York, I'm gonna get my camera and I'm gonna follow you around so you can stream all day. And,
Hey, here we are, kids. I'm like,
I know. Okay.
all right,
Like
bye,
and
everybody.
subscribe. Stay tuned. Let us know what you want us to talk about. Have a great day, everyone. Good. Bye.
Bye.